All right, everyone, welcome into the press conference here at the Gannon course. We're here with the co-event directors, Brian Cole, Jesse Tomeno, two just staples of the Portland disc golf community. Great to see you both. And Jesse, I'll start with you. What does this mean to you to be the co-event director of an event of this caliber?
Well, I think it's bringing together the staffs of two of the best events on tour. We've got the Beaver State Fling and the Portland Open combining into one event to learn how to maximize our team's abilities over the next couple of years leading up to hosting Worlds in 2027.
All right. And Brian, what does it mean for you? I know at one point you were the president of Stumptown, and now to see this combination between BSF and Stumptown Disc Golf for this premier event, what does it mean to you to be a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to look back at how far we've all come. You know, looking as far back as 2014 Worlds just being a big influence for me and my disc golf career, and some of the tournament directors that have come before Jesse and I, Jeff Haggerty and Jeff Middle, and to see how our community has just come together to really support both events. And it's been a huge ask in the past to have two back-to-back elite events, and our community has always come through. So now this year we're really excited to have everyone here in one big community event together at the same time.
So Milo McIver, you have two 18-hole courses at that property, and then here at Glendoveer you also at one point have had two full 18-hole courses. So how did you manage the challenge of picking the best 18 from each property for the event, Brian?
Sure. There's been a lot of challenges in planning the event. I think picking the courses was probably one of the easier ones. Milo McIver, we all know and love. It's been a top 10 course in the world for years and years. It has all of that history dating back to early national tour. And we just know you can't come to Portland and not play Milo, whether it's for professional competitive disc golf or just casual fun rounds. And for Glendoveer, the East course is the premier course. When you're talking about golf, traditional golf as well, that's the premier course. The land is a little bit more conducive to setting up for some good shot shaping out there. There's a little more trees, a little more elevation. So we just kind of knew when we moved over here in, I believe it was 2022, that the East course was the premier property here.
All right. And Jesse, for you, I'll ask the same. Is it a modification of the Riverbend Gold, or are we seeing something similar to what we've seen the last couple of years?
Very similar to what we've seen the last couple of years, just a couple minor tweaks. We eliminated last year's hole 18. I like the hole, but we get to end on the Evil Genius now, and that the drama level couldn't be any higher for the end of a round. And that also gives us hole 18 as a player warm-up area right next to Tournament Central. Kind of helps with the logistics a little bit. But other than that, we've just broken one combined par 4 back up into its two original holes, BSF holes 1 and 2 East. Players love those. I don't know if everybody loved that combined hole at the last couple of years.
That was a tough one.
It was a tough one. I liked the separation at the top that it provided, but they're both good holes individually, and we have an FPO par 4 pin on what was 2 East is now hole 16 that I think is going to be a really nice new wrinkle, and I've heard some good feedback about.
All right, that's great to have those kind of classic holes back in the mix there. Well, you know, what are some of the things that you hope to learned this week about the World Championships, are you still open to kind of tweaking any of the golf out here, and you're going to use some of the data from this premier event, Jesse?
Absolutely. I got the opportunity to walk Milo with Jeff Spring earlier this week, and just to walk in the park talking about things like that, and walking some holes that aren't in this year's layout that he particularly likes, that thankfully we agree on and want to try and work into the layout down the road. Some of the players might not like some of those holes, but they're toughies out there. So yeah, we're open to looking at it. We're all crunching numbers and looking at scoring separation after the event and seeing which holes work and which don't, and the flow of the event.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, do you still think it's going to be the two courses, Glendoveer East and Riverbend Gold? Is there any thought of any big changes for the Worlds?
We're not planning any large sweeping changes. It's going to be the courses that you guys know and love and the players know and love. So it'll be Glendoveer East and it'll be the Riverbend Gold layout. We have a couple years leading up to do some minor tasteful tweaks, but we both have overwhelmingly positive feedback from pros and fans, so we're not looking to change things up entirely.
All right. Well, can you touch on bringing a major partner in Colombia on for the event, and a major brand that has its headquarters right here in town?
Yeah, it's part of growing our event in preparation for the World Championships. We know from experience it makes a huge difference to get a non-endemic partner like that on board. LL Bean came on for Worlds at Smuggler's Notch in 2023, and Colombia is a great fit. They're headquartered here, as you mentioned, and they make just wonderful outdoor gear. Their rain jackets are second to none, and we need that. Hopefully not this year. It looks like we'll be pretty good this year. Maybe a little bit of rain tomorrow, but not nearly as much as last year. So having that big partner here in Portland that's local and can support the event really does make a difference for both the event and for the partner. So we think it's a really good fit. So we're excited for the opportunity to grow with them into the World Championships.
And I saw a billboard on my way into town. It was quite the shock, but really cool to see. I mean, can you touch on the promotion that goes behind letting Portland know that we're here, we're right in town, mm-hmm. and you can see the best disc golf in the world just down the street? Sure,
absolutely. Shout out to Zach, our marketing director for Disc Golf Pro Tour, was the one who engineered the billboards out there. And there's a ton in Portland, and it really does kind of add some legitimacy to the event when you're a disc golf fan and you're seeing, like, I know that event, and it's like on the Portland stage, so to speak. Part of our marketing and promotion effort this year has been awareness, especially as we grow into Worlds. We know we've got a wonderful community and fan base that comes out every year to attend the Beaver State Fling and the Portland Open, and we know they're going to keep coming out to this Northwest Championship. But we really want to break into more of the casual disc golfers, or more of those folks who aren't necessarily aware at what level professional competitive disc golf is happening at. Like, they're probably aware of disc golf as a sport, but they're probably not aware that we're playing for $100,000 and that players are coming from Norway and Finland and Estonia, and that players can throw 600 feet no problem. So,
well, Jesse, speaking of some of those casual disc golfers, I got a little word that it was tough to close the course in Milo on Monday, and players were expecting to be able to have the course themselves, and it's not the case. And I guess that's one of the downfalls of having such a popular property. Can you kind of touch on some of those challenges that you faced?
Absolutely. Milo is first and foremost an Oregon State park, and their mission statement is to provide affordable recreation for the citizens of Oregon. And it's just not possible to close a course on a holiday like Memorial Day at a state park. And we missed the messaging on that and didn't communicate it appropriately to the players. So some of them did show up and encounter casual golfers they weren't expecting. thankfully, it was a fairly light day, and I think most players were able to get a quality practice round in. Just the schedule lining up with the practice weekend being Memorial Day weekend was a tough one that we're going to be able to avoid the next couple of years, it looks like.
All right.
Yeah, I'll add to that.
Yeah.
These are, we want to make sure that our player experience is just fantastic, and we know that combining when we bid for Worlds that we might encounter some things that if we were to just jump right into Worlds that we might look back on and say, gosh, I wish we could have done that better. So
Yeah.
It's a learning opportunity for us. It's unfortunate that it was a negative player experience, but we know that we can get off that weekend next year and be able to reserve the course.
All right. And my last question for you guys is concerning the name of the event. You had the Beaver State Fling, which is a highly prestigious event and name, and then the Portland Open, which was, growing its prestige and also a quality name. How was it letting go of both of those names, and how did you come up with the Northwest Disc Golf? Is it Challenge or
Championship?
Championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it's been tough as we've both worked tirelessly for years now to build those brands. But as we combined our events, we really just wanted to make sure that it was clear that it wasn't just that, the Portland Open was taking over the Beaver State Fling or vice versa. So we decided it was best to kind of create this new brand, and that it's a collaborative event between the Portland Open team and Disc Golf Pro Tour and Stumptown Disc Golf and the Beaver State Fling. So,
all right.
And we also, the Beaver State Fling, with such a long history in the area, we're keeping that alive as a local A tier. It's going to be the biggest local A tier in the Northwest every year. We've got, next day videos scheduled for this July, and doing everything we can to keep it the event that the locals are really passionate about, even if it's not a Pro Tour event.
All right. Well, it's a dream collaboration indeed. Jesse, Brian, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the show that you've both worked really hard to put on this weekend.
Thank
Nate. You.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, everyone, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. I'm here with Disc Golf Pro Tour CEO Jeff Spring, and Jeff, we know that this is your baby, the formerly Portland Open, the Glendoveer golf and tennis property. We are returning to Glendoveer East this year, and I want to ask you how you came to the decision to just play Glendoveer East. You know, we've got Riverbend Gold, we've got 36 holes here. Was it at all difficult for you to just go with 18 on the east side?
I think it aligned well with the partnership with the BSF team in collaboration for Worlds. You know, last 2 years we've played, West and East. Mm-hmm. And I love West. Actually, I was more proud of the design on West than East because it's a harder property to work with. It's a little bit flatter, a little bit more open, and I thought we got a lot of great golf out of it. It was a little harder. People felt like it was longer, but the effective distance per shot was the same. And I loved it. I love a lot of holes on it. But when you play back-to-back for 4 rounds, I think that for the view, I know every hole, but for the viewer, it can get monotonous when you're seeing the same type of, property over and over. And so just building identity with holes, wanting people to understand, what are the challenges across the course and what's the flow of the course. I was coming to the conclusion that, it might be better to feature Glendoveer East, which was the higher rated and kind of more beloved side of the property and the more dynamic piece of property. For that reason, but also it's quite expensive to rent both courses for the entire week, and so this is even strategic to help reduce the cost burden here. Although we've got great partners here in Glendoveer, golf and tennis, there is a reality of renting out both courses for 8 days. We're able to adjust here, and then perfect timing on the World's bid, where Milo's able to come in and kind of offer a more kind of balanced perspective at Smuggler's Notch Resort. I've hosted 2 Worlds there. And Brewster is a wooded track, and Fox is a little bit more open, a little bit of blend on both. But here, I think we're able to feature a similar balance with Milo being a little bit more wooded, here a little bit more open. Both have balance, but that's how we got here, and I feel like it was just kind of good timing.
Yeah. Well, let's zoom in on the course changes this year. There's nothing too major, but you mentioned that you tightened the OB up a little bit. Can you just give us some examples of holes that you did tighten it up and the intention behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. We left 1 and 2 alone, but on 3, basically wrapped the OB on 4, it's a little tighter behind the hole. On 5, there's now a left side OB, pretty generous with a big pocket. And on 6, there's a right side OB, which in all cases I think punishes very bad shots versus letting folks kind of throw a shot without consequence. And the intention originally was to really limit the use of OB. We had very little OB. Just kind of mandatories that kind of put you in the right direction when we first designed the course. And then as we've evolved it, starting to see where the scoring separation is, where we can bring a few more, kind of punishing areas into play, and kind of tighten the constrictor, as we get towards the World Championship. That's philosophy here this year, and those 4 holes are just an example. There's a couple other holes out there that we've kind of either tightened, adjusted, or added OB. And then lastly, the crowds are really big, and I think that it really does help define the hole in the crowd's minds on site. You can really see that picture. Each hole out here is like a diorama, where you're placing everything and placing the tee, placing the basket, and really building your perfect disc golf experience, and those spectators are seeing it from the side. I think that this helps define where they should be, what the goal of the hole is, on site and online.
And speaking of spectators, what can a spectator coming to this event expect to experience outside of just the golf? I know in the years past we've had some music here. What do you have lined up this year?
Yeah, I honestly think that this is one of the best disc golf experiences in the world. There's a lot of great experiences out there, but for me, this is at the top of my list. We have Von Ebert Pub and Brewery on site, and they make great food, great beer. We've got Bevelcraft Brewing coming back as on-site beer option. They're going to be pouring all week. Nate Doss, Val, multiple-time world champions here themselves operating that. Von Ebert's providing a great spread of food. We've got Pine State Biscuits, which is like renowned locally, making breakfast. We got great coffee, a whole bunch of vendors. I think we got 25 vendors on site, so it's going to be a little festival here. And then Saturday night here, we've got 2 bands, funk, upbeat, gonna have a good time with that. And so the spectator experience to me is just great because you can experience like the beauty of like these enormous Douglas firs, top level golf, and the weather looks great. So I could go on, but I'm gonna stop there.
Oh, that's great, Jeff. I'm with you. When people ask me what event they should go to, this is always at the top of my list. And it's partly just because of the setting here, right? It's a golf course, but you're just walking in the shadow of these massive Douglas firs. And, is there anything else before I let you go here that you would like people to know about this weekend's event?
Not really. Just that, I think this is certainly a celebration of Northwest disc golf, and the combination of these teams is going to make a great experience for people that want to come on out. But watch closely because these tracks the next 2 years are going to get tuned up, and we hope to have, one of the every year you want to do it, but the best worlds ever, and break some new boundaries, push the sport forward. So I think this is worth paying attention to, and we expect this one to be on CBS Sports as a recap.
All right.
And just looking forward to the weekend and appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Jeff. We're really looking forward to the show this week.
Awesome. Thanks.
We will be right back. Alrighty, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with AB, Anthony Barella, coming off a dub, man. How you feeling?
I feel great. Game feels good. Austin caddied for me when I won last week, and he's going to caddy for me again. His wrist, unfortunately, isn't at 100% yet, so
man, that's tough.
Try to run it back.
That's tough. You got. How have you kind of avoided injury throughout your career?
I would say it's just I've been trying to do a lot of stretching just to stay loose, not trying to stay too tight and throw these hard shots is like super important. And then I've been working out a lot, like in the off weeks, trying to get stronger just to keep my body healthier, eating a little healthier, and just like all around just staying healthy.
Yeah, it seems just so important to avoid that. It's tough for Austin to be going through that with he was kind of, making a splash and really reaching his potential. But I want to ask you, what's your history with both of these courses? I know that you've played Glendoveer, you've played Milo. What kind of memories do you have out here?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever made an Elite Series lead card was 2017 at Milo MacIver in the Beaver State Fling. And it was like, back then, that was like my dream card instantly. It was me, Eagle, Ricky, and Macbeth. So obviously just so many memories here. This might be my 7th, maybe 8th time.
Were you 18? How old
I was
were you?
17.
You were 17 in 2017, making the lead card with your heroes.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Well, you've got good memories there. How do you feel about the Glendoveer track?
Glendoveer is amazing. It's one of the most beautiful properties we play on tour all year. it's such a fair golf course, and it's just beautiful. There's so many nice shots and big shots, and then, I mean, hopefully if it just doesn't rain, I feel like this place plays pretty well to my game.
Yeah, and you know, when the tour stops at a golf course, you know, typically the players aren't too stoked about it, right? It's too often we're at those types of properties with those wide open shots. What do you think it is about Glendoveer that separates it from other golf courses that the tour visits?
Yeah, I mean, having golf carts and being able to practice on golf carts is a huge part of it, but also just the beauty, and then just the way that the tournament comes together, and like how many fans from around the area come. The fans are always out here in full force. There's thousands of people, it feels like, every year at this tournament. So it just feels more professional at such a like majestic venue.
And when I picture this place, I do picture some big power shots out there. Can you talk about, you know, what shots you feel like you kind of have a bit of an advantage of coming into the event?
Honestly, I felt like all my advantage was on the west course, because this one doesn't really require as much distance, because all the holes are like, they're just like long par fours instead of like the super launch shots. Like you can throw, there's a par 5 on that course that was like 1,000 feet up the hill. I felt like I had a huge advantage on that one. But out here, I'm not even going to really be throwing too many shots as hard as I can. It's just all about placement. They added a few more OBs, so just got to place your shots where you need them.
Yeah, how do those OBs feel? Do you notice it? You feel it tightening up?
A little bit. I feel like it only really punishes like complete like shank bad shots, whereas last year if you could throw you could throw it wherever you want, it felt like over here. But now you just got to be a little more cautious, but you really shouldn't be throwing OB.
And are there any eagle opportunities for you out here?
Yeah, there's that par 5 down the hill that if I get a decent drive into a decent position, I'll for sure go for the eagle. But
yeah. And then the 18th is relatively unchanged. Is there an eagle opportunity there?
Yeah, for sure. Just if there's not a ripping headwind, I should get an eagle opportunity on that one.
Yeah, and what's the crew been this week? You're still, you know, Austin's out, got the wrist.
Yeah.
You're still rolling with Adam. He's a past champion here. You know, are you guys just going back and forth still, practicing together?
Oh, yeah. We're staying with an Airbnb of like 12 people. It's like me, Adam, Ezra, Gossage, Yuli, Brad. We got a couple friends coming to visit in town. It's just a fat Airbnb, so it's just going to be a fun week. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a crew. You feel like tour life has been treating you well lately?
Yeah, it's just the worst part's of driving. I'm sure you know that too. But other than that, I love being on tour. It's a blast.
Yeah, I feel like every year the driving it seems to get a little longer every year.
Exactly.
Well, AB, thanks for your time, man, and best of luck getting your Elite Plus title this week. We'll look forward to the show, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with Adam Hemis. Adam, got 4 Elite Series wins, is that right?
Yep.
And when I think of those 4, to me, this one here at the Portland Open stands out the most. But how do you feel about that? I mean, to me, that was your best win.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Nate. My win here probably holds the most weight. It's an Elite Plus. All my other ones are Elite Series. Just the way it went down here was super special and memorable. So definitely
Yeah, the way that it finished, but you said to us after that event that you just had never thrown the disc that well. And I want to ask you, because you weren't playing your best disc golf leading into it, and then all of a sudden you tapped into that. Do you recall, and can you recall how to just tap back into that and do it again this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to try to figure out than it is to do it. So I don't even know. I don't know.
Well, I know you're walking up here, Adam, and you must have some incredible memories. Like the putt that you hit over there was just the most electric thing that we can ask for. I mean, what is it like to walk up to an area where you hit one of your most memorable putts all time?
It's super special. This whole area right here, I remember all the love and the feelings I was having at that time were just incredible. And every time I come back, it feels good. It feels really good to be right here at Glendeveer.
Well, AB was just on before you, and he was mentioning that you guys are still just practicing together every week. And, he had an incredible performance last week at Shelton. And what is it like to be practicing and get those reps in with, some of the best talent in the field who also happens to be your friend?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Me and AB play every single week, and he'll learn off some of my sidearm shots. I'll learn off some of his touch backhand shots, and we just groove. I mean, we're a pretty tight niche group of guys. We like to stay together and practice together, and we just try to bounce shots back and forth off each other and see how good we can play in these events.
Yeah, you guys keeping score often, or just throwing a bunch of shots?
Yeah, first couple rounds usually if it's a new track or just learn the course, and then towards the weekend we'll play a couple scored rounds and just kind of get an idea of how it's scoring and how we're feeling. A couple of guys in our group don't like to play scored practice rounds. That's kind of their mental thing, and that's totally fine too. But I guess me, AB, and Austin. I think Austin just recently started to not, think about his score in practice rounds and kind of save it for the tournament. So, yeah, we all kind of have our ways, and we just go.
And what do you think about the tightening of the OB lines here at Glendeveer East?
I like it. I think we've seen some high scores here consistently in the past, and I think that will chop it up a little bit. And, I think all the changes out here were mainly just OB lines, and they all look very solid.
And what's your general take on the combination of Glendeveer East and the prestigious Milo McIver?
Yeah, I mean, here you can kind of throw it a little bit more wherever you want. Not as much now because you just mentioned the new OB lines, but over at Milo, you got to be dialed. You have to throw really pure shots, and you have to make some long putts out there. So I think they complement each other very well. Open park-style golf, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting four-day event.
Yeah, we know you've got good history here. Obviously, a big win. How's your memory over at Milo? What have your finishes been like at that track?
Definitely haven't been super strong at Milo throughout my career. It's one of those courses that kind of just bites me. I just can't figure out a way. I can score out there. I just can't get to a score that is probably going to be a winning score. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of what's going through my mind right now. It's nice that we start there, and then if I'm a little back, I can come out here and attack and play this course how I know I can play it. So yeah, I'm just going to try to stay in it, try to stay consistent, not make too many mistakes, and just see what happens. I don't think I'll be your guy that goes out there and shoots back-to-back 10 unders and comes into round 3 with a lead. But definitely want to give myself a chance with round 3 and round 4, and hopefully play catch up, and have a chance for a good finish.
Yeah, it's interesting. Milo is it's an old school course, and yet it has kind of stood the test of time amongst the talented field. What you said, you can't figure it out. Are there some interesting lines that are just tough to manage? I know there's some difficult greens to access.
Yeah, just a wide variety of shots. A couple shots there I'm not necessarily super confident with or consistent with. A lot of late hyzer flips with fairways. The wind picks up. It can be a little tricky to hit those lines out there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I can go out there and shoot 3, 4, 5 under pretty consistently in my practice rounds. Obviously, I'd like to do that a little bit better than that in the tournament. So hopefully that little bit of tournament focus and adrenaline kind of locks me in and gets those scores.
Well, we might have a little bit of rain on the forecast tomorrow for round 1. And when you hear that, how does that affect you mentally for your preparation?
That's news to me. Tomorrow it will just be, like I said, I just want to go out there and just set a score for myself that I can be happy with and be confident with moving forward. Yeah, if it's going to be a little rainy out there, I just want to, might play a couple holes safe and take my medicine where I need it. But yeah, I just want to, it's a 4-round tournament. Just, if you have a slightly slow start, it's okay. There's always time to come back.
All right. Well, Adam, I know you're a big MLB fan, but you've been watching the NBA playoffs as well?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, who do you liking right now? I know we got the Pacers over the Knicks.
Sorry, Pacers fans. I don't like you. No, I don't mind Pacers fans. It's just Tyrese Halliburton. He every time he comes to Milwaukee, he likes to be Tyrese, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Wisconsin, actually. He went to Oshkosh North.
Oh, really? Wow.
So when he comes back to Wisconsin, he doesn't really. I don't know. There's like a little salty taste for a lot of Bucks fans.
Well, man,
but yeah, they're a
last
great
night,
team. Tyrese is good.
15 assists, no turnovers last night.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. All right, Adam, I'll let you go here. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck at the Elite Plus this week.
Thank you so much, Nate. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with Isaac Robinson. Isaac, the year was 2022. You had just graduated college and you drove across the country to this event, and it was at that event where you really popped off. Can you kind of recall your memories from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, this place is just, it holds a special place in my heart for sure. Kind of this is where I met, the group of guys that I'm hanging out with this time. So Gavin and Alden and Gannon, this is kind of like the first time hanging out with them. And, I played really well that week and took home a third place, which coming out of college, I just didn't even imagine was possible. And yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that life is just it's so unreal. You just that was 3 years ago. And so much has happened since then, and there's so many good memories here. And so I love being in Portland, and I love being specifically here at Glen de Vere.
Well, was there ever a chance in your mind that if you didn't find success early on when you graduated and you hit the disc golf tour, was there ever a chance that you could not play the game? Did it ever cross your mind?
Not really. I think I was going to do whatever it took to succeed on tour. And so, at first there's some hesitation. You're like, well, I don't know. Can I really do this? And then playing well that week just really solidified in my mind that, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yes, I can make it out here on the road.
Yeah, it's incredible to do it at your first event. It goes a long way. And then you just hop in your little, I think, Transit Connect, and you're just on to the next one. I mean, it is pretty special how that unfolded for you. And so you've got great memories here. What's your take on Glen de Vere West versus Glen de Vere East and the decision to just go with the East for this premier event?
Yeah, I think the East was definitely the right choice to go with. It's just a better course. People like it a lot more. The West course, it felt like it kind of did the best that it could last year, and it was still like kind of just a okay course. There was nothing super special about it. And so I think the decision to keep it on East and then to add Milo McIver is a great move, and I think that it's going to produce some exciting scores, because going from the woods to kind of this open bomber course with a lot of OB, I just love courses that do that combo.
Can you why is it that Glen de Vere is one of the better golf courses? I mean, when you hear a golf course, you don't typically hear the field really talking about it fondly, but this one they do. What is it about Glen de Vere that separates it?
Yeah, I just think it's a very well-designed course. It's very long, but they make you throw shots through trees, and they make you shape shots. And I think that's what makes a golf course special. We kind of saw it with Stockton, where for me, I just never felt like I was on a golf course out there. And so Glen de Vere is kind of the same way, where there's you just feel like you're shaping shots in the woods, and it's just a good course. People love it.
Yeah, and you already mentioned that you like the addition of Milo McIver. Can you kind of touch on your history at that property?
Yeah, I'd rather not. No, my history there is nothing special. I think I've played it twice and cracked top 20. I got like 20th both times, so nothing super special there. So yeah, really trying to just play well out there and minimize the damage, and then come out to Glen de Vere East, which, a course that I love, and move up the leaderboard.
Well, what is it about Milo that you think makes it difficult for the field to kind of solve? It's an old school course, and yet I come across a lot of players who say that they just don't know what they're going to shoot out there.
Yeah, I don't even know. The rough is tough. There's some kind of funky holes, with not like a defined line. So I think could be some of it. You also throw a lot of interesting, just weird shots that you don't usually throw. You're throwing kind of high anhyzers, or these big turning shots, or the approach to the green can be a little tricky a lot of times on that course. And so I think it's just a combination of a lot of things. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be a common answer. And I want to talk to you about your bag for just a moment. You made the big switch. Obviously, you figured it out really quick. You already won a major with the new plastic. And is there any slot in your bag that you're still kind of trying to figure out? And to follow that up, which slots do you feel like you're really gaining an advantage with?
Yeah, so the slot that I'm just really trying to figure out is the mid-range slot. And, with my previous company, I really relied heavily on the mid-ranges. And this one, with Latitude and, kind of being able to choose from Dynamic and Westside too, it's like I'm trying to find a good mid. I just think I haven't given them enough time yet. I need
Like something slightly flippy, or
like start out stable and then beats into straight to understable. And so I'm just really trying to find that slot right now. But the slot that just really excels is the fairway drivers. I never had a good fairway driver with Prodigy, and so the Explorers and the Honors are just incredible. I'm able to throw them almost as far as a distance driver, but still have the accuracy and the control of a fairway driver, and so I'm loving it.
And Explorer is a little flippier, a little glidier.
Yeah.
Kind of like 8 speed.
I think it's a 7-speed.
It's a 7-speed. And then the Honor is a little faster.
Yep, it's going to be like more like a
PD.
Thunderbird PD slot.
Yeah.
And those are just 2 discs I've never had before.
And so in the past, with Prodigy, you were covering that up with either a driver that you were throwing slower,
or just ripping a mid as hard as I could. And so having the mids kind of, not taken away, but still trying to find that good one that I love, but replacing it with fairway drivers, I think my game has actually improved because I can use some of the fairway drivers for those mid shots that I was throwing before.
And how different is your putter?
Yeah, so the putter is pretty similar. Currently putting with the Crown from West Side, and then the Peak from Latitude is kind of my signature putter that I'm more using for throwing or approach shots. But the Crown is, similar to a PA3, shallow. It's straighter. The Peak is also straighter.
The Crown and the Peak.
Yeah, those are kind of like the throwing putting combo that I have.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, Isaac, thank you so much for your time, man, and best of luck at figuring out Milo McIver and how to access some of those difficult greens. We look forward to the show, man.
Thank you.
All right. And we will be right back. All right, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with Holyn Handley. And Holyn, you gave us what I felt was the most electric moment of the season last year when you hit that putt on the 18th at Milo McIver. Mm-hmm. And have you been back this week for practice?
Oh yeah, I've been here since Friday.
You've been here since Friday. Okay, so you've been to Milo. And what were the emotions like returning to that course and Yeah, the site of your first Elite Series win.
Yeah, so I actually played it Friday afternoon, kind of before any of like the course assets and stuff were set up, and it was just like a solo evening round, and that was really nice because it's about as like serene a setting as you're going to get, just perfect weather, sun starting to go down, and just kind of having the course to myself. So it was fun to kind of go through that. And honestly, most of that day was a little stressful because I put myself in a position where I had to make that putt, and then it was really those last like 4 holes, but. Yeah, it was fun to kind of just have the course to myself.
Yeah, solo Milo round is pretty rare. Well, we know you have good memories there. You know, what is your general take on the combination of the Beaver State Fling and the Portland Open?
I think it's a great combo. I think focusing on the East course, I think was a little bit better of the 2 courses. It's probably one of the better golf courses that we play all year because you do still have a lot of trees and it is still like really pretty and requires some technicality, and you've got the uphill, downhill kind of shots. And then you go over to Milo and it's a little bit more wooded, even though we don't play a lot of the wooded holes, but it is a little bit more wooded. So I do think they pair together really nicely.
Well, where would you say that your golf game is at the moment?
I'm happy with it right now. I had a couple shots that didn't feel great during the Cascade Challenge, namely like my putter shots, and some of my forehand lines were pretty terrible that weekend, but I spent a little time on them this week. And I don't need to shape shots quite as much as I needed to at Cascade, so I think if I'm keeping things pretty simple and sticking to my strengths, I feel pretty good. Yeah,
can you touch on, the difficulty there, but how you get a read on whether your shots are working or not when the lines are so tight there and then they open back up so much here? What can you learn from Cascade into this event?
Yeah, usually, if I throw a shot and for the most part it went how I wanted it to go, right? It was the right angle, right speed, but maybe I missed the line a little bit. That's one thing. But if I'm trying to throw a shot and it just comes out the wrong speed, wrong angle, wrong trajectory, a lot of things going wrong, that I need to actually like address that and spend some time on it. And I felt like I had a lot of moments like that at Cascade with those putters and those forehand shots. So, but when it opens up a little bit, you don't have to shape tight lines. You can kind of choose a shot shape that's more to your strengths. So for me, that's going to be sticking to a lot more hyzers and straight shots and kind of avoiding the flex shots unless I absolutely have to. There's only a couple spots on both courses where I need to do that. So yeah, it's kind of just a really good recognition of like what shots are really, really good right now and how can we lean on those.
And is there any, I guess, excitement about playing a course that the lines aren't as tight? Do you have any kind of preference of a course like Cascade and a course like Glendoveer?
I know coming to Glendoveer and Milo, I probably am more the favorite or a favorite to win because I do tend to play better at those courses. But in terms of what I enjoy, I enjoy all of the courses.
Even when you're missing the lines, you're still enjoying it over there.
Yeah, I may be loving the course. The course just wasn't loving me back so much.
Yeah. Well, Holyn, how have the expectations affected you at all this season? I know that, talking about the favorites going into each event, your name is at the top of that list time and time again, and are you consuming a lot of that content where people are naming you as the favorite, expecting you to win, and how does that affect you?
I don't really watch any more content or really listen to any podcasts anymore, just because I don't necessarily like hearing everyone's opinions about me. I kind of prefer to tune that out, and that's been true the last couple years, really. So that's nothing new. But I become aware of it in some other ways, like if I'm on a filmed card and I know I'm not leading, I've still got a camera in my face, and that typically is only true for like a couple of players. So I assume that means that, even though I'm not in the mix, I'm still being talked about. So I'm aware of it in those ways. And then of course, most of it just comes from my own desire to win, my own expectations of myself. So.
And how are you managing your own expectations, for an event like Cascade? How does it affect your confidence, if at all, heading into the next event?
Yeah, I try to be as realistic with myself as possible and try to put my expectations in terms of like the small things and less in terms of results. When I start to get too results focused is usually when things start to go wrong and I struggle mentally. But if I can stay, in a maybe more focused on like what's the quality of the throw, what's the quality of the stroke, what's the quality of like my focus level, and how good is my decision making, dialing in those things and knowing that if all of those things line up, I have a very good chance to win. So I don't really need to focus too hard on like the more overall picture of what's happening at any given moment.
Yeah. Well, Holyn, what shots are you still getting better at each week?
I'm sticking a lot to my like bread and butter, vulture shots. I've got that gray vulture that's been in the bag since I joined the team almost, and that's probably my favorite disc right now and one that I'm going to throw a lot. Areas I'm still really trying to improve are like kind of the down-tempoed shots, so the slower putter and mid-range shots, the flex forehands. Those are the shots that when they're going great, they work, but sometimes when I get in tournament and I get a little bit off, they tend to be terrible sometimes. So yeah, definitely those are the shots I'm still working on.
And are slower putter and mid shots, do they play out here? Are there moments where you can approach some greens with that?
Yeah, and fortunately out here I can stick to what's easiest for me, which is just a little hyzer or a flat shot. I don't have to throw like a touchy turnover or try to do anything that's like too touchy. I can generally throw a little bit more full shots or just stick to really simple angles.
Well, Holyn, what is it about this Glendoveer property that feels like it's one of the better golf courses that we play?
I think a lot of it's just the atmosphere. Like we still have the huge trees that the Pacific Northwest is known for. You've got the big mountain views when it's not too cloudy, and hasn't been cloudy really all week. So we've got the beautiful view of Mount Hood in the background. And then in terms of course design, because you've got the bigger trees, it's a little harder to kind of break holes and just throw over things. It's easier to force players to kind of shape shots still. And then of course we've got the hills, the up and uphill, downhill shots, and we can have some high floor, low ceiling shots. There's just a lot of variety of shot shapes out here.
Yeah, where does this area kind of rank on your list of places to play competitive disc golf?
Probably like top 2 areas of the country. It's up there with the Northeast for similar reasons, like big trees, and like we're here at just the perfect time of year where it's warm but it's not hot.
So we got Glendoveer, and then Milo. It's what, 45 minutes southeast of here. You're cruising in the RV. Like, do you pick a spot right in the middle? Where do you park your rig for the week?
Yeah, we picked a spot in the middle. So we're at Barton Park, which is about 30 minutes from Glendoveer and 15 from Milo.
And we start at Milo. We go Milo, Glendoveer. All right.
Yep.
Well, Holyn, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy the Prime Disc Golf this week, and we look forward to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we will be right back. Alrighty, welcome back into the press conference. We're here now with Rebecca Cox. Rebecca, you're getting close. You're getting close. You were close at Cascade last week. Talk about your experience there and what you took away from that final round and how you're going to improve on those final round performances.
Yeah, so man, Cascade was really a good tournament for me because, well, it's a wooded course and I feel really good on those kinds of courses, but I kind of had like a mental block at Champions Cup, and I was kind of like dreading going to Cascade just because of that, because I just didn't feel good. So going out there and playing well was like big for me, and I think it's just going to be about kind of overcoming those nerves and just getting myself to relax more on the course, so that way I can be more consistent and I can make more of a push on that final round.
Yeah, does it feel like the nerves are greater on Sunday than the other days?
Yeah, it certainly can be, especially when the vibes are different, you know, with the cameras and, you know, sometimes we can forget the cameras are there, but, you know, you have this big group of people watching and it can be fun, but can also put a little pressure on you.
Well, I want to ask you something about the putter, because you've obviously transformed your putting style and your execution, and it seems that when those nerves come on Sunday, that it almost looks like to me that you slightly revert back to those bad habits that caused you to miss low. Is that at all true to you? And if so, how do you address that?
Yeah, I think there's just like a bit of scar tissue there. You know, I've been playing forever, and back in my day when I was young, you know, we putted on like single chain baskets, and you know, it was just a little bit different back then. So I grew up, you know, kind of pitch putting and just spent years doing that kind of movement. So the past few years learning that new spin putt has been kind of a challenge, and I guess sometimes when those nerves come, it kind of brings me back to, you know, the days when my putt was the other way, and yeah, I can go back to kind of bad habits.
Yeah. Well, you're putting, you know, 60% from C1 right now. And I feel like with your stats driving right now, if you can bring those up a bit, you're going to win a tournament or multiple this season. How do you address such a large part of the game?
Yeah, well, I think at this point it's just all mental, and you know, the putt can just feel so much like more of an impact on the hole than the rest of the game can, just because, you know, that's where you make the score at. So I think it's just going to be about, you know, getting my head right and getting that confidence to where I do feel good on the putting green, and I'm not worried about, you know, how far my putt is or whatever. But yeah, you know, I'm good enough to know that I am a good putter and I can definitely take down one of these tournaments. It's just going to be about, you know, keeping calm.
Yeah, is it at all hard to be close to it and then to not, you know, not win the tournament yet? Is that at all something that's on your mind in those moments at Cascade or other events where you've been close? And how do you forget about that and start fresh going into this event?
Yeah, it's frustrating, you know, and just knowing that's really the biggest part of my game that's holding me back from being in contention. But yeah, like I said, it's just going to be about keeping the nerves down, and yeah, it is frustrating because, you know, I know that part of my game is good, but when you're out on tour, sometimes not sometimes, but all the time, you have to let go of that kind of stuff. You can't hold on to things that happened last weekend or whatever, and you just have to forgive yourself for mistakes that you made and just try and move on and do better.
Well, let's zoom in on the Gannon Buhr course. How do you feel like your game sets up for this property?
I think my game does really well out here. The distance that I've gained over the past few years has been a huge help. But yeah, I think I can do really well navigating both of these courses.
Yeah, and what do you think in general on the combination of the Beaver State Fling and Portland?
I really like it. I mean, these are two of my favorite courses, like, on tour. So
oh, cool.
Combining it is kind of like a cool thing that they did. I am going to miss the other Gannon Buhr course as well, but I think it's really cool.
Yeah, what makes this one of your favorite courses on tour? We'll start here with Gannon Buhr.
Yeah, I don't know, just something about Gannon Buhr that kind of reminds me of home. I know it's kind of like more open than I used to grow up playing, but I don't know, it just feels good to be around these trees and just, you look over here, there's a mountain, you look over here, there's flowers. It's like hard to be upset, it's just so cool to even have the opportunity to play out here. But it's just some of my favorite kind of golf, and I really enjoy the challenges. I feel like they're really fair for the whole division. So, I just have fun when I play out here.
And what do you think about the OB lines that they tightened up?
I think a lot of them make sense. I think that first par 5 down the hill needed a little bit of stricter OB lines, but I think it just helps keep the distance throwers in check a little bit and makes it a little less of like a distance competition.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of what kind of number you're hoping to reach?
Man, I don't really know. I know out here double digits is possible, but I think just even a handful under par each round is going to be great.
And how about for Milo?
Milo, I probably think along those same lines. I mean, it's very gettable. I think they even shortened some of the holes out there for us, so there's going to be a lot of scoring. As long as we stay in the fairway, I think, like I said, being under par is great, but I think I could probably put together something really good out there.
And I heard that we might have some rain coming for tomorrow's first round. When you hear that, how does that affect your kind of mental preparation?
Right. Usually the rainier rounds can be a little slower, so I'm kind of just going to be expecting maybe some backups here and there. Luckily we'll be, under some trees most of the time, so it won't be too bad, hopefully. But yeah, I'm just going to approach it the same way as any other round, just maybe take my time a little bit more.
Rebecca, what's the first Elite Series that you're going to win?
I would love it to be this one.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you break through.
Thank you. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
Rebecca.
me.
We will be right back. Alrighty, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with Missy Ganon. Missy, you've been making some money in the month of May. Come on now.
I like that.
A dub at the major, the Champions Cup, and a win in dominant fashion at the Cascade Challenge. Now, I asked you in the interview, I felt like it was the most dominant Sunday that you've had at a tournament. And I was kind of checking in with myself if I really feel that's true. And I think it is. I think it is. I think that the one that is the closest might be the Tour Championship a few years back at Hornets Nest when you had that putting performance. But in your mind, where does the finish at Cascade that Sunday, where does that stand?
Yeah, I would say definitely in more recent memory, it definitely stands out as one of the best rounds that I've played in a long time or ever. I think it's because, I mean, I know there's that crazy stat about how when I go into Sunday with a lead, I tend to win, but like I was back, you know, I was only back by 3, but I was still back. And, you know, I was behind Paige Pierce and I knew I was going to have to do something. I didn't know that was going to be what I was going to end up doing, to shoot a 10 down. But, you know, maybe it's just going into that mindset of like, I got to make up some ground. And yeah, it's a kind of a combination of just like knowing you got to make moves, but also everything just was clicking. It was just kind of working. And so it was just a really nice combination of things that happened on that Sunday.
And speaking of clicking, did something click before the Champions Cup and before this run that you've had? You know, was there a moment in practice or a moment in the tournament that you can look back on and say, well, I figured something out physically or mentally. I've keyed in on it.
I think what the big key for me at Champions Cup was, I mean, I had been trending upward, but I still was only, you know, cracking top 4 or whatever a couple events before. And I think it was the simplicity of my shots at Champions Cup. And it's not that the shots out there are simple. It's just that I was throwing one disc off the tee a lot of the time, whereas instead of, you know, having to change the angle or throw slower or whatever, I was able to really lean on my captain's thrasher. And I think that simplification of my game really helped. And, you know, in the past I'd always been like a thrasher thrower or whatever, but I don't know what it was. I just had some really great shots with my captain's thrasher. And again, when you can like lean on one disc and have a really simple game plan, then that's just going to make the decision makings that much easier. So I don't know. I think also just being comfortable now at Swenson. I've been there now for a few years, and I don't know. I feel like it just takes me a couple years to kind of feel like I finally feel comfortable at courses. And so, yeah, I think it just comes with experience as well.
So I want to ask you about a specific shot actually from Cascade, and I want to know if it's the thrasher or the captain's thrasher. It was hole 6.
Okay.
It was the one that was out into the wind, and in the final day, it was like ripping right to left, and you threw a beautiful baby Anheuser that just rode flat and then finished flat, and I felt like that was the best shot of the day for me because of how difficult it is to, if you expose it at all, it's going to end up OB left. If you turn it too much. What disc was that?
Captain's thrasher.
That's the captain's thrasher.
So it's a little bit more beat in. I have 3 different stabilities. One that's really beat in, thanks to in part to my dog Rio, just playing out in the field a little bit. But that one just it's super neutral, but still has that stability. That's what I look for in a captain's thrasher, and that's what I created it to be, a more stable thrasher. And so it really doesn't want to flip over, and it kind of kept that in that perfect crosswind. And like you said, it was pretty ripping, and I don't know that you could really tell on camera, but it just held super neutral, and it was low enough out of my hand that it just had that push and didn't want to fade out too much. So it was exactly how I drew up that shot in that wind.
Okay, can you kind of touch on how as you progress throughout your career in the beginning stages, you know, you're focused on big picture, like hitting the gap, right? Like taking a deep breath, just throwing the disc generally the right direction. And then as you progress, I see you really zoomed into those specific angles of release, and can you touch on how that is the case? Like how you are able to think about the minute angle that you're trying to match, and how that leads to just better performances.
Yeah, I think if you were to go back and watch some of my early career performances, I was very much a hyzer flipper, and I would just find the right disc that'll hyzer flip and kind of do the work for me. But nowadays, I think especially in the last couple years, people are like, oh wow, you gained a lot more distance, and it was really that I'm trying out different angles. I'm not just throwing the hyzer flips, I'm throwing the hyzer flex shots, and so it appears as though I've gained distance, and maybe I have a little bit, but I've also been working the angles a lot more, and that's just in the open. So I think it just kind of translated over to the woods, where maybe I'm not, in the past I would be more comfortable hitting a tight gap with a hyzer flip, and I still do that, but now depending on, Cascade had so many different angles that you had to throw, and a hyzer flip wouldn't always work. Just my game has kind of developed into being able to work those angles, and the more and more I've thrown them, the more confident I am in trying out different angles in the woods specifically. And it's just coming with, it's just repetition and trying it. And, I talk about like even my forehand, it's cost me strokes, but I have to apply it in game time in order for me to get better at it. And so it's just over time with any angle and any type of shot, you just kind of have to apply it. It's not always going to work out, but in the long run, you're going to learn a lot and be able to, really dial in that shot.
Yeah, I've seen you in some moments throwing some forehands that, are honestly a little uncomfortable, but it's interesting to hear you say that you're doing it knowing that it could cost you shots, but it could help you in the long run. So I'm going to ask you, what is the next shot that you are working on and hope to add? Is it the power forehand?
Yeah, absolutely, the forehand. I mean, I've thrown some really good standstill ones so far this year, but when it comes to getting that full power off the tee, or even just incorporating a run up is kind of been my biggest hurdle that I'm struggling with lately. I feel really comfortable with standstill forehands, but then again, they only go 250 feet. So when it comes time to have to throw maybe a 300 plus foot forehand, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the timing with the run up. And I do it well in practice, but I would call that that I get the yips with forehands. Yeah. I feel like, and I mean, maybe it's not as glaring because I don't throw a lot of them, but I'm throwing them good in practice with the run up. Everything feels snappy and flowy, and I get into the tournament mode, and then I start just chucking them like a softball, or baseball, and that's just going right back to what I feel like I was used to do when I was first learning forehand. So yeah, it's that's definitely something that I really want to get down and feel like I can be that most well-rounded player that I can be. And that's really the only thing I'm missing. I mean, we're seeing some of the bigger throwers come up, and you just spoke to Holyn Handley, and she's probably the best at both sides right now in our field. And so yeah, I think I can do it. I just have to kind of keep pushing and keep trying, and possibly lose strokes, but also just know that it's going to help in the long run.
And what does the process look like of improving? Are you one to watch YouTube videos? Do you ask any of your friends who are proficient forehand throwers how, or what does your process look like? Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I think I've watched plenty of videos over the years, and I just have to also figure out what feels good for me. But I've asked Ella, I've asked Holyn, what do you do? And they just told me even a simple how to put my fingers under the rim, and so they've given me little tips here and there, and just trying to again keep implementing it, whether it's in practice, field work, and during game time. It's a combination of everything, but it usually happens in the off season. I don't do a ton of really intense field work during the season. It just doesn't. It feels like I don't want to overthink it. I'm just I'm a feel player. I'm not like a really hyper focused on mechanics and fundamentals during the season. That's something I reserve for off time. But yeah, I think it's a work in progress, and I'll get there one day.
Well, Missy, is there any event that you don't feel that you're one of the favorites at?
I don't know. I mean, I think even just thinking about the Champions Cup at Swenson, followed up by Cascade Challenge at
Shelton.
Yeah. They're
Polar
completely
opposites,
different courses, and so I don't know. At this point, I feel really comfortable at all different styles of courses. I'm always my biggest fan. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not going to shy away from feeling like I'm the best, and that's fine. You have to. If you're coming out here thinking that you're going to lose, then you shouldn't even really be out here. You gotta at least keep that hope alive and just know that you've put in the work, and just try to shoot the best you can and just keep that confidence up. A lot of the time it's all between the ears. You've got all the shots that you need, and you just gotta stay confident and believe in yourself, really. I mean, I know it sounds like so cliche, but it's true. I think I'm the best out there, and I'm not afraid of that.
Well, what's your history been with both the Glendoveer East course and Milo McIver Gold?
Yeah, I'm trying to actually remember. I mean, I don't even know how I played. I think I was on the card with Holyn last year at Beaver State, so I obviously was doing okay out there. I don't really remember like where I've placed before in the past there, but and then I always feel like I'm kind of in the mix here as well. I think I was on Chase card last year. I remember, when Paige won, I had just come in off the course, so I was right there again. I think I feel really comfortable at both. I think it's like a really good complement. They're both a really good complement to one another, and it's like nice to sort of have those different shot shapes. And again, I can like kind of unleash out here, but I feel like I can do that out at Milo McIver too. So it's a great challenge, and I think it's going to be another one of those long 4-day weekends, and you just whoever's going to sustain and have the best stamina mentally and physically is going to succeed out here.
Well, Missy, you haven't lost in the month of May yet. I think we're ending in June, but we're starting this one in May, so we're looking pretty good. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to the show this week.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we will be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here now with Catrina Allen. Catrina, you've played a couple events off the tour in the month of May. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling okay.
Yeah, you went and played an old school tournament, Santa Cruz Masters Cup, and then the Las Vegas Challenge. Can you kind of touch on how you build your tour? I mean, what is this, year 16?
15.
15 for you?
Yeah.
You know, how do you pick and choose the tournaments that you compete at?
Yeah, I originally had Cascade. Super long story short, I have some product with Grit Disc in Cali, so I wanted to get out there and, you know, kind of do like a meet and greet, set up at the Fly Mart at both events and just move that product. And then I don't know, I've had great success at both events. I have 4 wins at Masters Cup.
Oh, wow.
And I think Paige and Juliana also do.
Oh, cool.
And the last few times I've been there, I think I've been in contention, but I was thinking it'd be much cooler if they were there and I won my 5th. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's not why I didn't win. But anyways, so I guess for me, just some history and special. And then obviously DGA is in, you know, Watsonville, which is right by Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And then same with Las Vegas Challenge. When I first came on tour, that was the first big event of the season. And so, I don't know, even though it was an A tier and there was really, you know, if I win or lose, it's not like it's a big title or anything. It just gives me that feel, you know, like the beginning of the season nerves. I just love being there, and the club does such a great job. I love the venue, so just wanted to support the event.
And you have some good history there as well. How many wins do you have out there? Is it
5,
Oh, you
I
have
think.
5, okay.
And then what's really...
This is going back to NT
Yeah,
as well.
so A tier even.
A tier.
So 2011, I don't know if I'm probably got almost last. It was my first event on tour as a rookie, and I think there's like 7 of us. And then from 2012 to now, I've never placed out of the top 3. So I also wanted to keep that podium. So even last year, pregnant, I looked at the scores and I had to make a like 45-footer jump putt on the last hole to keep it alive.
Wow, that's incredible.
So yeah, kind of just, like I said, both tournaments have history for me, and I just enjoy playing the courses. And it can be a grind to play Elite Series every weekend, so also just work on some things in my game. And yeah.
Well, what are you focused on with your game at the moment?
You know, I mean, obviously I'm on tour with a 9-month-old that I'm still like pumping, and you know, she doesn't sleep through the night, so craziness and naps. And I always say I'm a working full-time stay-at-home mom who also works because she's
and
my
travels.
priority. So
Yeah.
like this morning I got through 9 holes and he texted me she's up, so I just zoom back to the car in the cart and go back and be with her and come back out and play some more holes. So I've just really been giving myself grace, and there's always one thing that I'm trying to work on, and then once I get to that, then work on the next thing. So to start the season, I wanted to get my throw back. In fact, my putting has been like up and down, some great rounds, some not so great. But I just think throwing is so much more important. I mean,
yeah, giving yourself those chances.
just if I can just be consistent and get, you know, looks and pars, the putts will start dropping. So I finally felt like, I don't know, maybe Nashville was where I really felt like my throw came back. And then also just being present, because the first few events being away from Eloise was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Yeah.
Just even if she's at the event, just like being on the rounds.
She's never not been with me. I've never missed a night with her or anything like that. But so, like, I remember driving, when they drove away at Waco, I would cry every morning. Like, I even kind of makes me tear up thinking about it. So just being able to be present. And actually, Sarah Nicholson messaged me, and she's like, my brother is a golfer who had to go through the same thing, and gave me some advice. And so what I try to do is just, when it's my turn to throw, that's when I focus. I can just think about her, even be texting Austin, how's she doing in between holes and shots. But as soon as it's my shot, I try to just focus for that moment.
Yeah, wow.
And then, so yeah, the last 2 things I'd like to do is improve my putt outside of 25 feet. Maybe even be more consistent with it. I've had some rounds where like I feel like I can't miss, but then I've had some rounds where it's like, I just can't.
Can't find it.
Yeah, the wind or just something's a little off.
Mhm.
But I will be honest, I don't spend as much time as I should.
Yeah.
So that's the last thing I'm kind of putting energy into. And then I had a chance to win in Vegas and getting back into that mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
you know, what keeps you going when you have such a, such a difficult to be touring with your family and with your 9-month-old and still pursuing, to compete at the very top level? What keeps you going? And is there ever a moment where you're like, this is too hard? I don't think I can play.
Yeah. In fact, Waco, there was one point something happened and I left the course in tears and I was like, is this all worth it? And should I just drive home? Should I pack up and drive home? And I don't know. I guess I made obligations to my sponsors. And so I want to, fulfill those. And I don't know. I think I've always loved a challenge as well. I feel like I've overcame a lot in my career. And so I don't know.
Well, what goals do you have left to accomplish in the sport? You've won almost every tournament you could win. Is there something that is there a victory you still want to taste out there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I will. I mean, I guess I was kind of reflecting on that to give myself some grace. Is like most events I go to, I've won once or maybe multiple. So just go out and, the pressure to win is there for me, but really my career, I'm happy with my career.
Yeah.
But I guess if I'm going to be out here, I'd like to be in contention. And I think with the work I've done to get my throw back to where I want, and when I see my putt really great, I had a stretch at Champions Cup where I birdied 7 of the last 9 in the tough wind conditions. I think the third round, and Vegas came out first 8, birdied 8 of the 9 holes. So I see that golf is still there. So I think that's the spark, or that's what's driving me, is that it's still there. Can I get on the course, put mom brain aside and compete? But it's difficult because there's some more, there's no routine anymore. She's my routine. She might wake up at 7 for 3 days in a row, and then one day she's like, I'm going to wake up at 5, or I'm going to sleep till 8, so there's,
That's tough.
And and I've chosen the hard way of she's my priority first. So I'll practice around her schedule. So, yeah.
Well, what has it been like witnessing the transformation of the game? I mean, you've been through it for 3, maybe even 4 eras now, and you witnessed the Pro Tour start in 2016 and the transition out of the NT into this. What is it like coming to this event at this massive golf course when 2012 2013 would have never really dreamed of playing at venues like this right in town? What has that been like to witness the transformation of the game?
Oh my goodness, it's been crazy. I think one of the hardest things, and I try not to be that person, is to sit and see the newcomers be like, the course isn't set up, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, we used to play 4 courses in 2 days with a made-up final 9 as your last, if you were in the top 4, you'd have to go play a safari final 9, and so, I don't know, I guess there's so many benefits to it, so much more organized, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Like I just said, the first time I played Vegas, I think there was 7 women.
Yeah. You're playing around the baseball field too, right?
Yeah. We would play at Sunset
course.
Park.
Yeah.
By the road, and there wasn't any closing the parks down or I don't know. Some places we didn't even have not only not bathrooms but not porta potties, right? Or we don't have a player parking. There wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, the player experience has definitely improved dramatically.
I even think back to 2000, maybe 18. If you would have gone out to Beaver or to Milo and tried to play, if you didn't know until the course was like set up, you'd have no idea where to go.
Yeah.
Right? So you just had to hope you were with someone who played in the years before or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's completely different. There's no caddy books or U-disc or anything like that. So.
Well, my last question for you before I let you go is, what are your memories from the 2014 World Championships that were here in town?
There's a couple of things, but one thing I always think about is how just like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of 2021 Worlds too, where it was like, I never thought that I was like, I didn't step into the event like I'm going to win, but there was just this calmness that like, I never was thinking about winning, but I never thought I lost it either, if that makes sense. And I just was always in the moment. And they both are a feeling that I can't put into words. It's like, yeah, I was even, a friend messaged me last night or this morning and was like, sent me a picture of the 2021 Worlds and was like this girl needs to come back to the course, right? Look at this. But yeah, in both, it's just, I was in such a great mental state. Like, I remember, one of the things I remember about 2014 Worlds is I think I started like bogey.
Wow.
And my throwing a driver felt really weird. And I just decided, okay, well, I can birdie these par fours going mid, so why am I throwing my driver if I keep throwing it out of bounds or in the ground or whatever I was doing? And I would just adjust and not double think it, right? Just like not overthink and just go with what I was feeling. And I don't know, it's like that Zen golf where you're just, in the flow state or whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Well, we hope to see you find it again.
Yeah.
We hope to see you find victory again.
I guess I also missed the first hole of my second round, so.
That's crazy.
So that's something that's funny.
That's
I drove
crazy.
to Milo and was eating my breakfast in the car and realized I needed to be at Pier Park. And if you're from this area at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, that's not where you want to be.
Got the strokes. Started on hole 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I actually pulled up, left my car running. I think Jessica Weiss's mom, Sherry, right? Sherry, yeah. She parked my vehicle. I yelled provisional, put down a roller. I think I ran to the restroom because I had like an hour drive and realized, okay, yeah. I had never even been close to Missy, and I've always been an hour early, so that was...
To do it at the Worlds, too.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and at Pier Park. Yeah, being at Milo and knowing you're at Pier Park. Yeah, that was insane. It was nuts. So yeah, anyways, that's some fun memory.
That is a good memory.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
This has been great. We hope to see you find the groove. And again, you're an inspiration for being out on tour with your 9-month-old in year 15. So
thank you.
Thank you for your time and good luck this week.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with defending champion Paige Pierce. Paige, you were coming back from injury and you found your groove last year here at Glendoveer. How does it feel to be back?
Yeah, good. It feels great to just be healthy and be throwing, and it just like, especially being on this property in particular, it just feels like too good to be true that they let us play here. It just like feels like we're not supposed to be here. Like, this is too epic. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you love about the Glendoveer setting?
I like that it's open fairways, lots of danger, lots of OB, and big trees that you got to miss. So it forces you to still hit gaps and try different angles on shots. But if you're coming in too fast on a green, or on the fairway, you're likely to skip OB. So the difference in angles, but also like having to control your speed for ground play too. I like it both.
Well, what's your take on the combination of Milo McIver and Glendoveer?
I like them. I pretty much love every course on tour, so I'm happy to play all of them. Milo's great. I haven't played out there in probably 5 years or more, so I'm excited to be back out there. Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of history out there at Milo. You haven't played there in 5 years, but you're previous champion out there, and you've had a lot of big battles. I mean, what are your memories like playing that course?
Yeah, it was funny because yesterday I practiced over there, and so many memories came flooding back. I have a very fond memory of 2010 Beaver State Fling, my first national tour that I ever played, and Liz Carr beat me by 1 stroke, and hole 16 at the time, like I remember I had the lead, and I had like a 90-foot jump putt layup, and I hit the branch above me and it rolled backwards and took the bogey. She got the birdie. She was up by 1, and we had 2 holes left, and she beat me by 1. And that was like the moment that I told myself, or after that tournament, I told myself like, wow, I could get really good at this. Like, I'm going to start practicing, and like, I'm going to go on tour. And so that's like the first one. And then I have lots of other memories. I know I had a playoff with Catrina Allen there, on one of what's now like hole 5 or something like that. So it's cool to see it in different phases, but the iconic holes are still there, and it's great.
That's crazy. 15 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago, getting the validation that you needed to commit yourself to the game. Well, what's been clicking for you lately? I mean, you've been really finding your groove out there. You've found your confidence. Can you kind of touch on what you think it is that allowed you to find it?
I think a lot of things have to line up, and a lot of things have to go well. But I think like the main thing, to make it short, is just like I'm really committing to my releases. I'm just popping them, and it feels like crisp coming out of my hand, and there's like no timidness, no fear. I'd rather grip lock than early release. So if that's what I'm going to do, then so be it. But I'm just like holding it in my hand longer, gripping down harder, and just popping it out. And just, I'm getting a lot more RPMs, and it's just like so fun to watch it just flip up and ride down the fairway.
Well, how have they been flying for you this week?
Very, very good. Yeah, I'm a little tired, but yeah, they've been flying good. Playing 2 courses and developing a game plan at 2 courses is obviously a little bit more work, but Glendoveer hasn't changed too much, and so I was just kind of refamiliarizing myself at Milo and getting down what discs I'm throwing on certain holes. But just gonna be throwing a lot of full power shots, so just resting when I need to rest, and other than that, my discs are flying really good and I feel good.
Is that a lot of your disc, the drive, or you're throwing anything else for the driver slot?
Yeah, I throw a lot of drives. I have my Tour Series, which is like my flip up to flat. It's purple. You'll see it a lot this week. Flip up to flat, just cruiser. I have a yellow one. That's a ESP Swirl. It's really flat, and that's my turnover one. And then my orange one, you'll see that one a lot. That's overstable. It's really domey. So a combo of those 3. Anything else like driver, I throw an 11 speed of the Vulture. Yeah. It's like a longer Firebird type shot. It's a longer Raptor for me. So I throw that as well, but not as often. Definitely a lot of these holes are full power rip, and then throw another one, and then maybe you're to the basket.
All right. Well, we won't spoil anything, but you just came back from the Jomez putting game. I believe you're at a amusement park. Yeah. How were the putts dropping for you?
Yeah, it was really fun. There's so many like putts that sometimes those, it's like, okay, I took the day off of practicing to go do that. And sometimes it's a little like, I don't know, I just had a lot of fun, but it's like, it didn't help me for this tournament, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was no putt that I threw today is going to be thrown in the tournament, but when can you ever say you putted on top of a Ferris wheel? So just so cool, and definitely look for that when it comes out. But now I'm excited to wrap this thing up and go get some more last minute shots in at Glendoveer and Golden Hour.
Paige, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to the show this week. We'll see you tomorrow for round 1.
Sounds good.
All right. And we will be right back, folks. All right, welcome back into the press conference here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. We're here with Gannon Buhr. Gannon, I actually wanted to ask you about last week's performance at Kayak. I saw that you mentioned you felt that it was one of your better rounds all time. Can you kind of touch on the round?
Yeah, so Kayak Point Gold is full of extremely hard to get par threes, and I just got a lot of them. I threw a lot of crazy shots. There's a 700-foot par 4 downhill, and I parked it for eagle, and I went 9 under on the back 9 there with a lot of just really long holes. And so there's just so many bonus birdies I remember getting that were over 450 feet that you have to shape late. And so I parked pretty much everything. I didn't make one circle 2 putt, and I actually missed 2 circle 1s and shot 12 down. And the previous course record was 6 down, to kind of give an example of how hard that course was. So I was really happy with it, and it kind of gave me the win after the first round. I just had to coast in and got the win round 2.
Well, can you touch on the UDisc ratings at all? I know that you had the highest UDisc rating all time. Are you up to speed on those at all, or is it all relevant to you?
I don't really care too much about the UDisc round rating. I just thought it was kind of cool. It was the highest ever. I know they do use a reverse bell curve system, so as you get more toward the 18 birdie zone, obviously because you only have 18 chances, so each birdie past however much gets that much harder. So you get rewarded more points per stroke for the birdies, later. So 10 down versus 11 down is harder than a 6 down versus 7 down. So each birdie after that, it gets progressively more points. So that definitely helped me out there.
Well, can you kind of touch on the difference in the dynamic of playing off the tour at an event like that and then kind of coming back to the tour?
Yeah, for me it's like almost like an off week. It's only a 2-round event, so you have a lot of days to either you can practice, but you can also rest, and so I did a good amount of both. I got a lot of practice putting in this off week, but it's really nice because there's zero pressure in those type of events, because I'm not gonna lie, like I look a lot at ratings and stuff like that, and so even something like that can get in my head. When there's no ratings, you can kind of just do whatever you want, have fun, go for crazy shots you never tried before. And I feel like typically we play in, the type of courses we play on for like the go-through events, you have a little more freedom. There's not as tight as OB. You can kind of go for some stuff that you don't usually go for.
Well, Gannon, what do you think it is that's been keeping you from the winner's circle more often this year?
The putting, that's simple as that. I actually looked at my driving statistics this year, and they are even better than they were last year.
Wow.
And last year I was leading by quite a bit in the greens and regulation. So I'm leading first place in both Circle 1 and Circle 2 greens and regulation. And to be honest, like my throwing's been good, but it hasn't even felt like on for a couple events. So I think if I get on and I start making putts, I think there's, I feel like I should win no matter what. Last week at the Cascade Challenge, I missed 9 Circle 1s and only made 2 Circle 2s. And typically, I feel like I usually miss around like 2 to 3 Circle 1s a tournament, and then I make, even close to 10 Circle 2s, it feels like. So I'm losing on almost 10 strokes, it feels like, in these type of events. But I've been practice putting about 300 putts a day, just trying to get my swing back, and it's actually feeling a lot better this week.
Well, are you able to key in on why you're not making as many, why you're missing more C1s?
Yeah, just dealing with a lot of like anxiety when it comes into the effect. I feel like I just have like this pressure on myself because I'm throwing so good. I know I can put down a heat around every single round, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like it just every putt just has a lot of pressure on it for no reason, and I just didn't feel comfortable. My swing hasn't felt really good this year, and but like I said, this week I've been practicing a lot, and I'm actually feel like I have a lot of control over the putt again.
Gannon, thanks for your time. Here's the big man, Jeremy Colling, with a couple more questions for you.
All right, Gannon, so you're talking about your putting being the thing that's holding you back. When you talked about last season as one of the best seasons of all time, or how we talk about that as one of the best seasons of all time, where you really flourished were the 4-round events. So far this year, we've had 2 4-round events, and you've come up empty-handed at those events. Does that hurt you more than a 3-round event, like when you had such domination last season?
For sure. I feel like the 4-round events were always, for me last year, I would play a decent round 1, and it was the same story every single time. Round 2, I'd throw down a heater, maintain or even widen my lead in round 3, and then coast in round 4. And so it was a very consistent type of thing that I would do. I didn't feel much pressure. But it just feels like 4-round events, it just feels like I should win. Like, honestly, personally, it does, especially if my game feels somewhat on and I have a good game plan. I know I can do it. But, I just have a lot of rivalries out there this year, it feels like. I'm battling with Simon Lizotte. We're tied right now 3 for 3 against each other. So, having a 4-round event this week, I hope I can get him, and I can be 4-3 against him.
You're 3 for 3 with Simon, meaning you beat him 3 times.
Yeah,
he's beat you 3
me
times.
3 times.
So going into a 4-round event like this week, the Elite Series Plus, where is your confidence level with your game, especially coming off your win last week?
Right now it's really high. So like I said, my putting's feeling a lot better. I pretty much come out to these Portland courses and it feels like I can't really do any wrong. And it just feels like I'm just so confident. There's no risk in my head, especially out here at Glendoveer. I think I'm at a bit of a disadvantage that I'm not playing Glendoveer 4 rounds because I think I can just flourish out here and play free. And the thing about I play so well out here, I think I go really aggressive on every single hole, but for some reason it just feels so easy to keep it in balance. And hopefully I can continue that. Obviously I'm talking right now like it's easy, but yeah, and then obviously I got the win at Beaver State last year. Beaver State, I played 3 rounds with no bogeys. So a bogey-free event was really cool, and it showed that I think I had a good game plan, didn't go for any crazy risks, but it was also able to get enough birdies to win the tournament.
Actually leads in my next question. Between the 2 courses at Milo MacGyver and Glendoveer, is there one that you prefer over the other, and which course do you think sets up for the best score separation?
I think Glendoveer definitely plays better score separation, and it plays best for me. I think the out of bounds can scare some people where it doesn't really get in my head. I play well here every time. I don't think I've ever played a bad round out at East so far, at least, and I've played it 7-8 times in tournament rounds. So I believe I've set the course record multiple times out there. Like I said, it's just such a comfortable place. It's one of my favorite courses on the earth. And it just sets up so well for my game plan. A good mix of like big backhands with forehand approaches and stuff like that. There's also some pretty crafty like quick flip roller shots, which I have a good disc for the function right now. And so that already boosts my confidence level quite a bit. And obviously just good history out here. I played good here, and so I just feel more comfortable. Milo, I think it's not a course where I'm going to get a lot of strokes on people. I think for me it's more about survive Milo, stay within 4 of the lead going into Glendoveer, and if I'm within 4, I feel pretty comfortable about getting a win. So just got to give myself a chance. Like I said, got to putt solid, which it's been feeling good, and that's a good feeling to have. I think that'll even boost my driving statistics, knowing that if I'm out of position, I can still get the birdies by making big putts. So feeling good about this week. I'm looking to get my season rolling. I think I can pick up 2 of these next 3 tournaments before we head to Europe, and I think I could, win at least 2 over in Europe. So at that point in the season, I could have 5 wins just like that and, get the ball rolling again and hopefully finish strong. So that's the plan.
He's looking ahead, folks. Well, last year, Gannon was 2 for 2 in the state of Oregon, 2 for 2 in the city of Portland. So definitely a lot of confidence going into this 4-round event. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back in. And closing out the press conference today, Simon Lizotte. Simon, it's hard to believe that it's been 3 years since you won back-to-back tournaments and high-fived the crowd right over here on the 18th.
Right there.
I mean, reflect on that memory just a little bit and the time that's passed since then.
Yeah, I mean, 2022 was a crazy year. At the beginning of that year, I was questioning if pro disc golf was actually still going to be my career, because I was dealing with elbow injury, I was dealing with burnout with all the travel, and I wasn't really playing that well. So, yeah, those wins kind of came out of nowhere, and especially the one here in Portland on this incredible property where Garrett Girthy outplayed me on the last couple holes, and he kind of had it in the bag, but then made a fatal mistake on the last hole, and I kind of just snuck right in there and took it. And the back-to-back wins was, timing was impeccable, as usual. And Eagle actually did the same thing with OTB Open and Portland Open the year before.
Yeah.
So it kind of just all fell into place like that. And, you know, it's been 3 years and I still can't explain how it happened, but it happened.
Well, Simon, even if you tried to quit, I don't think we would let you. I think you're locked into this game forever.
But I got a couple more years.
I want to ask you, I want to now ask you about that. You say you have a couple more years. I mean, what are now your disc golf goals?
My main goal is, I don't know, I think 2029 to do a full-on pro disc golf tour, and then we'll see. I mean, one of my big dreams is to own a property, maybe with a smaller brewery or something like that on it, where I want to create something really cool for the disc golf community and have actually like time to focus on something completely new.
Yeah.
I still love competing. I still love playing disc golf, of course. That's why I'm still doing it. The travel is the part that gets me a bit.
Yeah.
Especially with my 2 little kids at home, family life. We just got a new house last year. And man, I don't like leaving home at all. Yeah. Every time it's just a battle to leave. So yeah, I'm looking forward to retiring from tour in maybe 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
And then something new will pop up. I don't really know what it's going to be yet, but I'm not stressing about it.
Well, can you kind of touch on the work that goes into the vlog as well? I mean, it feels like every time I see you, there's a camera there. You're putting out videos like on a regular basis. Can you kind of touch on A, the work, but B, the, you know, I guess intent behind being constantly at work when you are even not playing?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm doing the videos is because I really enjoy it too. That's one of the main things I've always made sure with the whole content creation stuff, is that the second I feel like I have to do it is when I need to stop doing it. So yeah, this was all my choice. I knew what I signed up for, and it is a bit of a grind at times, but it feels really worth it because I really like our product and the results seem to be still really fun, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like work if it's just fun.
Good. Well, I want to zoom in on your game a little bit. You found some magic a couple weeks back at Cascade Challenge, and Anthony Barella really had to play high-level golf down the stretch to keep you from coming back and taking that tournament. What can you do this week to tap back into that magic that you found?
I don't know. It comes and goes. I mean, magic might be the right word. You can't really just explain it. My whole motto for that week was I'm not allowed to complain no matter what happens. And maybe that's just the mindset. Because we all know how easy it is to complain and kind of self-soothing it can be in a way. But I feel like it also kind of calls for bad things to happen if you're just always complaining about stuff and looking for things to complain about. And yeah, that was my rule for that week. No complaining no matter what. And then good things started happening. And I was like, maybe that's just how it works.
It's a good rule. Well, Simon, thanks for your time. Here's Jeremy Colling with a few more for you.
I love those answers, Simon. That's awesome. Love seeing how much you love creating content and really being a vulnerable person in the sport of disc golf and being able to really show what this lifestyle is like for so many of us. The travel is obviously difficult, but now that you've got the family back home and you're going back and forth to the West Coast, this is your third trip back and forth. Where do you find the energy to keep going?
I don't know, man. It's tough sometimes. It feels like I have two completely separate lives. Like one, I'm a dad, family man, getting stuff done in the house, and completely different set of responsibilities. And the other life, I'm someone on the road living this crazy life where I'm like a superstar in the field, where so many people like cheer for me, root for me. I know disc golf is a small bubble compared to like bigger things, but it's sometimes hard to really balance it and not go a bit crazy, because it's like I'm like a different person here than I am at home. It's that crazy.
Well, focusing on the courses for this weekend, you've had some success out here at Glendoveer, but it's been a while since you've played a tournament at Milo MacGyver. How are you feeling about that course and your preparation for this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, there's something clearly just magical and special about these courses. I'd say these courses got Riz. I mean, the vibes out here are just so on. Is that not how you use that word? I don't know.
Are you saying those words because Gannon's standing right behind me?
No.
Okay, good.
And yeah, Milo is really fun. I played it yesterday for the first time. I snuck in an evening round because every practice one I got this week, first one was Chance vs. Chumps. Second one was Jomas practice round with you guys. And then I snuck in a late round last night at Milo. And today we did putting for 4 hours. So it's been an interesting week so far. And Milo's, I really enjoyed it yesterday. It has more like fairway drivers, mid-range shots, and this is probably top 3 disc golf properties for me, Glendoveer.
Really?
But the course is a bit too repetitive, I think. Like I throw a distance driver on almost every tee shot, and almost it all kind of lines up like this left to right start with a hyzer finish. Like the flex line is very much asked for out here, which is why Gannon feels so confident, I think, because that's his favorite shot.
Would you say then that Milo is your preferred course between the two?
I'd say for this week, yes. I just had a really, really great time last night. Playing at sunset at Milo, I don't think there's much cooler things in disc golf.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go past this week. In 2 weeks, we're going to be going to Clearwater, Minnesota. For the very first time ever, we are going to be playing a Simon Line Presents tournament. Yeah. The Simon Line Presents the Preserve. Talk about what goes behind that and what that means to you.
Yeah, it came up a couple months ago when I think the Preserve was reaching out to a couple companies looking for a title sponsor, and MVP was interested, but MVP is already doing a lot of other events. So they wanted to switch it up and kind of approached me with this wild idea of making it a Simon Line event. And I kind of was like, I don't really know what it means to be a title sponsor for a tournament. I've never thought about it, or obviously never done it. No one's really, as a player, really ever done it, which was intriguing for me to like look into it. So then I talked to Charlie, who took over the Preserve from Kale, I think 2 years ago at this point, and talked to Kale about it, of course. And everyone seemed to be pretty excited about it and thought it was a good fit. Preserve is a really cool property, also kind of a thing that Kale pioneered as a long-time touring pro to like get this property, get it on tour and run an amazing event and kind of give back to the community with something like so unique and special in the disc golf world like the Preserve is. So yeah, I had to put my stamp on the course, of course. That was one of the main things. I was like, I can't just have it be a random event in Minnesota where I didn't really feel I had ties to. So yeah, I scheduled it out with Kale that we would go tweak a couple holes, make it like Simon Line approved, and we did it. Right after Austin, we flew up to Minneapolis and had 2 days up there on my channel if you want to watch the vlog, by the way. And I think it's ready, and I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be a bit crazy. My logo is going to be plastered all over the course. I might feel a little self-conscious about seeing my stuff everywhere because I'm not really the guy who will thrive in that. But who knows? Maybe I will. And it's going to be interesting, I think.
Potential sign of things to come, perhaps, talking about your ambitions of one day owning a course/brewery and maybe having some future Simon Line tournaments.
Yeah.
Maybe on the Disc Golf Pro Tour one day, huh?
That would be cool. The Simon Line's growing. I'm working with MVP, of course, with the next molds already. And yeah, another goal of my near future is to have a bag, all Simon Line discs. So hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe at the end of my touring career, I can have just all Simon Line discs in the bag. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, man, with so many different projects going on, who's staying constantly busy, probably the busiest man in the sport of disc golf. Thank you so much for taking some time today in preparation for your Northwest Disc Golf Championship performance. We look forward to seeing you over the weekend.
See you on a feature card.